Welcome to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, where you get advice you can trust. From home selling tips to investing, this is the talk show that will help you make the most money when selling your most valuable asset and save the most money when buying. Now here are your hosts, Dave McKay, along with Wally Kerr, broker and founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty in Oklahoma City.
Well, good morning. This is the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show. I'm Dave McKay, and my neighbors across the table here, Wally Kerr and Cindy Kerr. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
How are we doing?
Great. Kind of surprised by the weather here. Boy, it's cold this morning.
Yes, it started like Tuesday and just dropped about 5 degrees, I think, each day. And today's high is somewhere in the 40s.
I think they said the wind chill this morning was between 10 and 15 degrees. So it caught me a little off guard this morning. Probably like everybody else, I'm ready for spring. What do you think, Cindy?
Well, we had some pretty days this week.
Yes.
I had to get on my tractor and move a 1,000-pound bale of hay because those horses are just eating through that hay in the wintertime. But I was able to do that, and I got to ride some this week.
Awesome. Went and saw my son ride last weekend, and it was his first place in his English riding. He got first place. So that was down in Purcell.
Awesome.
So he did really well. So he loves doing that. And I know you as a horse person would.
I love it. I started out riding English and rode hunter jumpers, kind of like your son does. And then I rode dressage English. And then I went to Western trail riding, and now I ride Western dressage. So I've kind of done everything but rodeo. Never did that.
And I'd like to go on record, I don't ride.
No, you're a bullfighter.
I'm a city boy and self-admitted.
Not completely, because you love the horses and you love to pet them and take care of them.
Well, this is true. They're like big pets to me, you know. But
I think we all love petting zoos.
It's cool having them around. It is.
Well, the show, as always, is sponsored by our great guests, Chris Doke with Gateway Mortgage and Best Protect Roofing and Construction. I understand we might have Chris on later in the show today, possibly.
There's been some big news. You've probably seen some of this on your phone or news articles, but we're going to talk about some big news that's transpired over the last couple of weeks, and it's interesting how it's going to affect the market. But we'll start off today with House Talk, talking about gifts from Uncle Sam that homeowners should know about. Don't you love it when Uncle Sam buys you something?
Absolutely.
We've got some great gifts from Uncle Sam to talk about today. We're also going to talk about in Weekly Wisdom is how to negotiate for some things that you're probably not thinking about when you're making an offer on a home, or going through negotiations. Also going to talk today about a segment that Cindy and I were visiting about this week, and that is, as we go toward the springtime, knowing that there's going to be people selling their homes, is biggest selling mistakes, because selling season's coming soon.
Yes,
we're already mid-February. I mean, we had our 1-year anniversary of the show. That's already like 3 weeks ago, and we're just blazing through February.
Yes.
I'm surprised how quickly this month seems that it's going.
Spring break is just around the corner. If you're not thinking about now getting your home ready, you better start thinking about it.
I agree. Finally, a segment I think maybe everybody will enjoy the most today, so be sure and stay tuned, is are home values up in the Oklahoma City metro from the peak in 2022?
Okay.
And what's it look like in your city where you live? So we're going to talk about average sales price data.
That'll be interesting.
What it's done, and we're going to compare the last 90 days with the highest quarter on record, and that was the spring of 2022.
All this over the next hour. And of course, if you can't catch the show live at 11 a.m. on Saturdays, you can catch the replay at noon on Sundays. Like a friend of mine this past Wednesday morning had breakfast with, he said, "Hey, I heard you on KOKC. Heard that little radio show that you do with Wally Kerr." He said it was really interesting. He really liked how you guys are just very informative on the little nuances and topics about buying and selling. He was tuning in for the first time, and he said, I'll be honest, I thought I was going to hear an hour-long commercial about why I should go shop with the Kerr team, which I told him he should. But he said it was really, and I said, that's what it's for. It's
that's
information.
Exactly right. That's our goal, is to make it informational. You know, we've been doing this for many years, and so we've learned some things, and we want to pass that along.
Yeah, sure. We don't want to get into an advertorial here. This is intended to be a show. We want you to come back. I'll tell you, it's been a little bit of a challenge coming up with topics for each and every week after doing this a year.
Yes.
we don't want to repeat. We'll take highlights of certain shows and probably change the subject around and talk about it again, like talking about getting ready to sell for spring today. But you won't hear us saying the same thing we said 6 months ago or 9 months ago. Want to keep it fresh. We enjoy having our listeners and doing the show, and we'll try to continue to bring the content your way.
And if you want to hear what we did talk about 6 months or 9 months ago, go to wallytalkshouses.com, and everything is there in bite-sized pieces to ingest and to learn everything you can about the housing market and real estate. You find a summary for each show you can scroll through. So that's great. That's at wallytalkshouses.com, and of course all the podcast networks. And once again, we repeat at noon on Sundays. So stick with us. We have a full hour today. Coming back in 2 minutes, the items that movers hate to move. That's next. Stick around.
To schedule an appointment with Wally Kerr to help you or a family member buy or sell a home, call or text at 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Wally will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show right here on KOKC.
Looking for a cash offer for your home? If so, do you want to see just one offer, or would you prefer to receive multiple cash offers and you get to choose the one you want? IWantMultipleOffers.com is the place to go. And that's exactly what you'll get fast. You choose the closing date, no open houses, no strangers in your home, and no waiting to receive an offer. You can sell as is. Today we know that homeowners like you want options. Our cash offer program, where you receive multiple offers, not just one, allows you to do what you want to do. If the cash offers aren't quite as high as you want, you still have the option of placing your home for sale for only as long as you want. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, you choose. And if it's not sold in that agreed period, you can take any one of the cash offers, including one from us. Visit IWantMultipleOffers.com. Get the options you want, or just give us a call today. Wally and Cindy Kerr at Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at 330-3000.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doke with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233, Equal Housing Lender.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Well, Wally, you said in our little teaser that we have at the top of the show, items that movers hate to move. And of course, there's got to be things like a piano, grandfather clocks, or just big pieces of furniture that are not normal things that are hard to get out of the house and move. Tell me, what are some of the things that movers hate to move?
Well, and the reason I brought this segment up is I was literally sitting with a home seller on Monday of this past week and looking around their home, and they had a number of items that I thought, that's going to be fun to move. They had this huge roll-top desk, and I said, is that desk heavy? And he said, oh my gosh. He said, you have no idea. He said, that desk was built in the 60s, and he said, it's that real solid wood. And so Cindy and I decided just to kind of have some fun today and talk about things. You know, imagine you got this play fort in your backyard. Your kids have grown up, and you say, hey, I'm just going to leave the play fort. And here come the buyers, and they write a contract and say, seller to remove the play fort.
Okay.
We don't want it. So trampolines, I would expect the movers are probably not going to do that. So I did a little quick research. We'll move it along fast here. Movers hate those big foam mattresses that you can buy.
Yes.
So your mattress isn't soft enough. We bought one, right, Cindy? And it's like 4 or 5 inches thick. But when you unwrap it from the box, it just explodes.
Yes.
It's all over the place.
Rigid
it's
at
not
all.
rigid.
Yes.
Movers don't like those foam mattresses. They don't lean up, I guess, in a moving truck very well. They're really hard to tether and roll back up again, and they just expand to about 50 times their size when you take them out of the box.
Yes, they do.
How about sofa beds? Those things are just super heavy. Overpacked boxes. Some people stuff so much into a box, they could make it into 2 boxes. And a packed dresser, they're not meant to be moved when the drawers are full. The drawers come out. They're just unwieldy. So that's a tough one.
Here's the big one. Can you imagine somebody with a home gym? And you don't really take dumbbells that are 55 pounds each or 30 pounds and stick them in a box, right? So you got the Peloton, you got the running track.
Is there a piece that you've had in your past that the movers were like, really?
It seems like we've had a couple of really good movers, and they've been willing to move everything, but it's just a matter of cost. They work by the hour. And if you've got something that's really heavy that has to be broken down, expect to pay.
So plan ahead is what we're saying. If you're going to be moving, if you have some friends that can come along and help dismantle, or you want to sell off some stuff maybe before.
There you go.
That might be a good
That's
thing.
the ticket.
Okay, so into our first house talk segment of the day, gifts from Uncle Sam that homeowners should know about. So I'm thinking, could this be anything from tax breaks to opportunities for money if you live in a certain area, even a certain income level or jobs? Are there just programs out there that we don't know about that could assist us in buying or selling homes that maybe monetarily helps us? Is that what we're talking about?
I think we'll have a couple of things here that even if you know about owning a home and what's deductible, I think we've got some things that we'll be able to add here.
Okay.
Where someone might say, gosh, I wasn't aware of that or didn't know how that worked.
Yes.
Let's just start with the triple play of generous tax breaks for homeowners. First of all, homeowners receive tax breaks when they buy because the IRS says that you can deduct that mortgage interest in the year it's paid. We all know that, right? Mm-hmm. And then homeowners receive tax breaks while they live in the home. So in general, you can deduct interest charged on a loan used to acquire or improve your principal residence in the year that it's paid. So things that you're making improvements on. Deduction for interest on home equity loans if it's used to improve the property. That's a tax benefit. And then even Cindy and I were talking about medical expense deductions for home improvements. For instance, I've got a home in South Oklahoma City, around the Fountains area, down on the south side. I'll be listing that for a man who is in a wheelchair, and they had to go in and make modifications to one of the spare bathrooms so that he could just roll his wheelchair straight in on tile and straight into the shower.
Okay.
Deductions like that are available when it's a medical necessity to do those things. It's nice to know that you can go in and make improvements to the home that you'll be able to use for tax deductions. And then finally, of course, most everybody knows homeowners receive tax breaks when they sell a home. You can sell your home at a huge profit and not pay a dime in federal taxes on the profit. There are some limitations to that. First of all, Cindy, you can't go in and use something that you've rented or written off for business purposes and keep all of the profit. There's going to be some percentage of that. Your accountant works that up as to how much there would be taxable income for writing a home off for rental or business purposes. You have to have lived in it 2 of the last 5 years, and it has to be your principal residence when you sell it. But Dave, you can go in as a single person with current tax laws that have been in place since May of 1997, and you can sell a home and make up to a $250,000 profit every 2 years and pay no taxation on that. And if you're married, you can make a $500,000 profit every 2 years and pay no tax, as long as you meet those other guidelines that we just talked about, not writing it off for business or rental purposes. Okay? Also, a few shows back, and Cindy and I were talking about this. You remember talking about the energy efficiency home improvement credits from Uncle Sam? It was it was for efficient windows, doors, for adding insulation in your home. Solar is a big credit. It's things like really efficient heat and air systems. If you remember, they had to be Energy Star certified.
Yes.
So if you will go online and just Google U.S. tax credits, you get a big directive from the U.S. government that says, here's the things you can do to take up to $3,200 per year for as many as 10 years in a row, So a maximum of $32,000 in tax credits over a 10-year period. Now remember, that's not a deduction. That's a dollar for dollar tax credit.
That's right. So I have to be paying $3,200 in taxes to get that $3,200 back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you have to have that tax, and you remember that really well. You have to have that tax liability to be able to take advantage of the credit.
So if I buy an HVAC system and I pay $8,000, I get the $3,200 back if I had to pay $3,200 in taxes. I don't get to take another $3,200 back the following year and keep doing that up to that $8,000. It has to be something brand new purchased.
It has to be something different. That's right. That's right. Maybe it's windows one year and doors another year and insulation the next year.
So don't do it all in the same year.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
because
make improvements over time.
Yeah, okay. So each year it's like, this year we're going to do new windows, and we're only going to do $3,200 worth. And
if you're thinking about remodeling a home or living in a home long term, I would say visit the government website and look at the tax credits and get yourself a plan. Lay out a plan for what you're going to work on. Now, this is one that a lot of people probably don't know about, Dave. Is an exclusion for canceled mortgage debt. So let's say I'm in trouble and I go to my lender and they agree to cancel some of my debt. Okay. You would think that you would just have a tax liability or obligation for what they canceled. In other words, it's a benefit to you, right? It's kind of an income benefit. Hey, Dave, we're going to cancel $40,000 of your mortgage debt. You probably would normally get a 1099 for that as miscellaneous income.
Yes.
Check with your financial advisor, but the Mortgage Forgiveness Debt Relief Act actually allows you to exclude certain canceled debt on your principal residence against income. And that deduction prior to 2017 could be up to $1 million. And afterward, it's up to $750,000. So if you've had some mortgage debt canceled, that could be a big benefit.
Mm-hmm. There's also a deduction up to $10,000 of your state and local property taxes. So check with your financial advisor, of course, on these.
Typically, that is maximized at $10,000. So we have lots of homes here, whether it's Gaillardia, whether it's Oak Tree, whether it's Nichols Hills. You know, you might have taxes on your home of $12,000, $15,000, $18,000 per year just in property taxes, and that is limited in most states to $10,000. So you don't get to write off all of those taxes, but a big portion of those, right, Cindy?
Okay, a lot of great information there, and we're going to get a lot more. We're going to tap into Wally's brain next. It's Wally's Weekly Wisdom coming up in 2 minutes.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doke with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Hey, home buyers, let's talk turkey for a minute. Would you choose a healthy economy or lower interest rates? As of January 5th, the U.S. jobs report says we're in a healthy economy, with a larger increase in jobs in the U.S. That leads us to believe the Fed will wait even longer until it begins to reduce its rate. Meantime, the demand for homes always picks up in the spring, with many buyers chasing the same home, and that means more competition for you. With home prices on the rise, doesn't it make sense to get in the market now? A $300,000 home that increases just 2% over the next year will increase $6,000 in value. I'm Wally Kerr, and my team and I offer rock-solid advice about buying a home in a market like this one, where home prices are going up and fewer homes are for sale. Call Kerr Team today at 330-3000 and tell us you're ready to get started with the process. I promise you'll have a great experience working with my team. Call us today at 330-3000.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Well, it's time for Wally's Weekly Wisdom. Wally, what do we have on tap for today?
Well, everybody sells for different reasons. Some people are moving from Oklahoma to Pennsylvania. Some people are living here and they're moving perhaps to a retirement community, maybe slowing down in life.
Yes.
Maybe it's assisted living. Most of those people own a lot of things that really would have great value to a buyer. Perhaps you're buying your first home and you're going to need a wheelbarrow and you're going to need a hoe and a rake and water hoses and the lawn chairs that are sitting on the back patio.
Jungle gym for the kids.
What about a mower? What about even if it's a riding lawnmower? I've seen a lot of folks that as they get older in life, they'll live on an acreage for a long time, and then they'll move into perhaps assisted living or a condo or a very small home in town where they don't need the riding mower. The point of today's wisdom is see if you can negotiate for those items so you don't have to pay retail for all of these things.
Okay. I didn't think about it. So as the buyer, I'm looking around the house, but if I see a bunch of tools and a nice big pegboard and everything up there, and I hear that maybe they're a little older and they want to move, maybe they don't want all these tools, and especially maybe a shed out in the backyard. Hey, can I take a look in the shed and see what you have? And if you do have a riding lawnmower, why go buy a new one? You know, you can make a little extra money off me. I can buy that from you.
Is that something you write into the contract? Is that something you just approach the seller with later? How does that work on the timing?
If you could see that someone's perhaps older, maybe a listing agent tells me or tells my buyer and says, hey, these folks are slowing down in life and they've bought a condominium, my first thought is, what's here that they don't need anymore? Whether it's the ortho products for the outside gardening, whether it's the lawnmower, it might be that if you make an offer and say, we'd like you to leave those things, it might be a relief for them thinking that they don't have to go sell that at pennies on the dollar at an estate sale, and that it would benefit the buyer and that all these things aren't just going to be thrown away. For instance, my father has passed and he has this amazing set of Craftsman tools.
Okay.
Dave, you got any Craftsman sockets or wrenches?
I do, yes.
Stuff's expensive.
Yes, it is.
It's really quality. And so if you went in and looked at my dad's set of tools, I bet he's got $10,000 worth of tools.
Oh, wow.
But if he goes and sells it at an estate sale, it sells for $1,500.
Yeah.
And so I've taken what I want, but if a buyer came and saw that set of tools, they might think, wow, it sure would be great to get this without having to go in and pay for it. In most cases, the seller would just have to sign a statement. It can't really be part of the purchase contract that just says, I'm going to leave these things here. And here's my signature. And when we go to closing, I'm going to leave these things.
And that's probably because of the loan. If they're getting a loan, a lender doesn't want to see that they are loaning on hoses. It's for real property.
Sure.
So in the case of a cash sale, it would be real simple. But
That's
in the
right.
case of a loan, we just need to separate it out.
Let's change the scenario here. Now you're just dealing with Wally, and Wally's moving to Little Rock, and the buyer walks in and says, there are some things I think I'd really like to try to negotiate for. They could go in and write those in either up front, or I might be more likely as a seller to say, why don't you go in and do your inspections first? And let's see what you come up with. And I've got some things of value here. So when you hit me with little diddly squat items in the inspection report.
You have something to bargain with as the seller as well.
That's right. So we typically tell our sellers when they say, hey, I'll leave the washer, dryer, refrigerator with the home, Wally. Those are just going to stay. And my advice always is, let's just say you'll leave them at the right price, because I need something to negotiate for with you, so that you don't just give these items away and then someone asks you for more after the inspection period. There's a lot of things that home sellers may have inside their home, Dave. It could be a pool table. There's a lot of sellers that don't want their pool table.
And movers don't want to move.
And that's right. It's like that
learned that.
roll-top desk you were talking about. It may be a ping pong table. It can be the outdoor furniture.
Okay.
So many things you should probably consider negotiating for. If you know the seller doesn't want it up front, you might be able to ask for that up front. If you don't know that, maybe better to ask for it after you've done inspections and it's time to negotiate a final agreement with the seller.
Let's go right into House Talk Part 2. Biggest home selling mistakes, because we know that selling season is almost here. We know that spring break is going to be here. Spring will be here. People are going to think about moving. What are some other big selling mistakes that people maybe are not thinking of or that are not top of mind?
You know, one of them is neglecting home repairs and staging. Well-maintained and aesthetically pleasing properties really do sway prospective buyers. So you want to take time to address issues, curb appeal, and consider professional staging.
When you walk up to that front door, Cindy, how important is it when someone looks up and sees it's nice and neat and well taken care of, as opposed to 52 mud dauber nests built out of red clay from this last summer, right?
That first impression is just critical. The landscaping looks neat and tidy. There's a colorful doormat, colorful flowers on the front porch, and the door is painted and it looks nice.
Dave, another one is just inadequate photography and marketing. We see a lot of pictures online, and you've probably seen them before too. Have you ever called anyone over to your computer and said, look at this photo of this house online? And maybe it was just shot at a bad angle. You know, how many people go buy a $400,000 home, but they only want the bathroom to look like it's a $200,000 home. So the choice of photos can make a difference too. We may go pay for 60 or 70 or 80 photos to be taken of a property, Cindy, but only choose 22 to be posted online because we want to show the absolute best attributes and angles like you were talking about for each property. I see a lot of misuse of that by some agents inside the marketplace that aren't careful about what they're doing and just posting everything that the photographer uses. There's a lot to be said about pictures and how important they are in marketing.
That's right,
Cindy?
You know, flexibility is critical. There's several negotiating times during a sale. One of them is you're talking about the sales price, but then you get into this whole inspection thing. And sometimes we'll see a seller who is just firm on their price, just firm. And a buyer may pay that, but then when they get to the inspection, which is also a contingency, a buyer may just nitpick to death that seller. We've seen conversely where a seller says, I won't fix anything, but a buyer may end up walking away because they have that contingency period. So you've got to make it a win-win, but also so that you get what you need. You feel like you got a fair price, and you feel like the seller and buyer had a meeting of the minds in terms of inspection and repairs. Try
to be flexible with a buyer and understand how many sellers, Cindy, want to pay buyers' closing costs. That kind of gets them backing up a little bit, saying, wait a minute, I'll pay mine and you pay yours. But in a lot of cases, the buyer will go add those back to the price, or maybe they just give a full price offer and ask for $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 in closing costs. And that's still a good offer in today's market, isn't it?
It is, and it also depends on the house itself. You may have a house that has got some floor plan issues, some location issues, a steep backyard, some power lines in the backyard. You may have some things that make it a little tougher sell, and you might need to be a little more flexible.
I think this is going to be a big one, but what about timing? We know that there's certain times of the year that it's very advantageous to put your house on the market, and then sometimes it's not. Tell me about how important timing plays a role in selling your home.
You know, this is such a great question because the inventory is so low, because buyers are literally sitting looking on websites every night and getting those automatic notifications, waiting for those right houses to come up for them. It's still, though, a marketplace that's driven a lot by schools. Every year, we'll get a few calls in August and September for people that want to sell. And I always think in the back of my mind, boy, I wish you would have called me in June when it was so busy. I wish you would have called back in May. Now, that's tough if it's a job transfer.
That's right. And it could be, especially in university towns like Norman, the students have all moved. The professors have all purchased by the end of the summer. So if you can look at your timing and you can be flexible and try to time your sale, that works really well and is advantageous.
Yeah. April through July, Dave, it's harder to sell in December. We're going to see some numbers later in the show that are indicative of what happens inside the winter time and trying to sell and what sales prices have done.
Pool homes are another reason that you want to look at timing. People's thoughts turn to pools when it's getting warm.
Boy, that's a big one. I would say that the average seller who's got their pool covered during the winter time might get $5,000 or $10,000 less for their home without the pool being open.
Okay.
People want to see that pool.
Yes.
Let's face it, if you're shopping for a home with a pool and you're shopping in the wintertime and you want a pool, you're laying a lot of value on that pool, right?
Yes.
Because you want to see the condition of the pool, what the tile is like, what the coping is like.
The seating area, the shape. Is it just a rectangle and that's it? Or you open it up and it's a nice kidney bean, I guess they call it.
Right. Or are there stains on the bottom of the pool? Does it need to be repainted?
Yes.
Do you have to drain it and paint the whole thing and refill it? Because there's a lot of money there involved.
You know, if I'm a buyer, I can get overly attached to a home that has a pool, and I can make one of those mistakes of making an emotional buy. What about selling? Are there emotional aspects? People think very highly of their own home and maybe hold it in a little higher regard than really what it's worth. What about that?
You know, I have something that comes to mind exactly that. I had a listing once, a very nice home, and the whole home had marble floors. The seller was there when there was a showing, and the buyer said, "We don't like marble," which the seller overheard. They said, "We would jackhammer out all these marble floors and put in hardwood."
Oh, breaking their hearts.
And then subsequently, that buyer wrote a full price offer. That seller had the hardest time because they overheard that word jackhammer. But yet the seller needs to be detached. It's not going to be their home anymore.
Yes. What about if you do not give Wally and Cindy a call? That's a mistake. I'm in jest here, of course. I'm very partial. But being impartial, I would say not calling a professional. A lot of times someone trying to sell it on their own and don't really know what the market's bringing. You guys are the experts in that. You are the professionals that someone needs to talk to. Go search out a professional real estate agent so you really know that you can maximize what you're getting.
Let me say it in a nice way. If I was going to come to your home and all your walls were painted pink on the inside, would you want me just to come in and say what you wanted to hear, or do you want me to tell you what you need to hear to get top dollar for your home? So
I want the money.
Show me the money. So the way you get the money is by preparing your home and having it ready for what buyers want. We're here to give good advice, and we want to be kind. And we also want to come from a neutral standpoint and say, this is what people want. It's not exactly what you have. Might need to get some of the wallpaper out. Would you be open to that? Hey, everybody inside your neighborhood here is around $450, but you've still got Formica inside the kitchen. And most of these homes around you have got granite inside the kitchen, or they don't have brass fixtures. We're here for good advice. We'll be honest with you. Ultimately, it's totally your decision as to what you want to do. But what you were saying, Dave, is that experience counts, and we're going to bring that experience to the table when we meet with the seller and try to make the most resourceful recommendations that we can. We'll help you negotiate the best price for your home. Give us a call for a second opinion. We had some folks in Blanchard that called, and they really planned to list with somebody in their church, and they did, but they wanted a second opinion from us. We gave them at least the opportunity to give the assurance that that price was going to be right and what we thought needed to be done. We would have loved it if they would have listed here with us, but instead went with their friends inside church, and we totally understood that. We're happy to come out and give you a no-obligation analysis, so call anytime.
Speaking of listings and listing a home, how about our listings of the week and maybe some open houses? We'll talk about that coming up in 2 minutes.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doke with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233. Equal housing lender.
Looking for a cash offer for your home? If so, do you want to see just one offer, or would you prefer to receive multiple cash offers and you get to choose the one you want? IWantMultipleOffers.com is the place to go. And that's exactly what you'll get fast. You choose the closing date, no open houses, no strangers in your home, and no waiting to receive an offer. You can sell as is. Today we know that homeowners like you want options. Our cash offer program, where you receive multiple offers, not just one, allows you to do what you want to do. If the cash offers aren't quite as high as you want, you still have the option of placing your home for sale for only as long as you want. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, you choose. And if it's not sold in that agreed period, you can take any one of the cash offers, including one from us. Visit IWantMultipleOffers.com. Get the options you want, or just give us a call today. Wally and Cindy Kerr at your home sold guaranteed realty at 330-3000.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
So, hey, we got some open houses this weekend, probably in all different kind of price points, different parts of the metro.
Right.
What do we have to see to take a look at?
Come see us in Newcastle and in Moore and in Norman this weekend for open houses. So in Newcastle, a great home that is only a year or two old. You can meet Jennifer Wilcox on our team at 802 Southeast 17th Street in Newcastle. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 2-car, only 2 years old. It's gorgeous. Beautiful paint colors, great appliances, countertops. It's beautiful. Look at this one online, $320,000. It's 1,865 feet on a corner lot, and that will be open Sunday from 2 to 4. So if you're listening on Saturday, that's tomorrow. If you're catching the repeat of our show today, get ready. You need to run over and see that home quickly. Kelly Duran will be in Moore in Joshua's Landing between Sunny Lane and Sooner Road. That's going to be off of 34th Street. This has got about 5,000 square feet of space. It's a pond view. It's 3605 Joshua Lane on 1.4 acres. Every amenity inside the home, Dave. God, it's just absolutely beautiful. Backs up to this pond with a beach where you can swim with the family. It's really neat. It has 2 studies inside the home, one for mom and dad, and kind of a home classroom for the kids with bulletin boards and chalkboards. That home's $975,000. You can also see a home right beside Cleveland School. A lot of interest in this property. 2216 Iowa Street. This home is $239,500. Cindy helped a lot with picking colors and getting some updating done on that home before it went on the market. And that home is open from 1 to 2 p.m., just an hour on Sunday, 2216 Iowa. Great home.
And it's got great appeal as far as I'm concerned because it does look like a builder's model home inside. Neutral paint, all repainted. A really great neutral carpet that is something a builder would pick. Updated tile flooring. It just is move-in ready.
Little over 1,600 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car, shutters on the front, red brick. Looks like the little all-American home that a lot of people grew up in, you know, back in the 60s and 70s.
And a big yard, treed neighborhood. It's just a really nice family home.
If you have any questions about any of those homes and need more information, you can look those up online, or you can text me at 330-3000 if you've got a specific question about, you know, is it electric heat? Is it gas heat? Does it have a fireplace? We can answer those questions, and we'd love to see you this weekend.
I know that they are homes all across the metro that you can buy for a certain price. I know that they also vary in different parts of the metro and in different housing communities. But what are the average prices of homes doing right now in specific cities? If people are interested in Yukon, Edmond, and Norman, what are they doing right now? And maybe a little bit of what we can expect in the next couple of months.
Well, this is a great question, and did some research this week to see how we compare with where we are right now to how we compared just about 2 years ago when the market was at its hottest point.
Okay.
So whether you remember or not, April of 2022 was kind of the peak nationwide. The inventory was low, the rates were super low, and they were just starting to move up. The Fed made its first move in March of 2022, beginning to increase the rate. And that really accelerated people hearing that the Fed was going to start increasing rates and pushed
got to do it now.
buyers into the marketplace.
It was a frenzy.
Yes.
So the second quarter of 2022, Dave, were the highest levels for pricing here inside the Oklahoma City metro.
Okay.
But we've seen some areas that have continued to go up, and you compare just the period that we've ended over the last 90 days, end of January, looking back to those peak prices in April of 2022, do you know that more has continued to increase from that highest peak in the market, another 11% over the last 20 months? Listen to some of these numbers. Here are the communities across our metro out of 14 communities that are up the most in value and have continued to increase since the peak almost 2 years ago. Moore up another 11%, Mustang up another 6.5%, Guthrie up more than 10% over the last 20 months, Choctaw and Blanchard, holy moly, Choctaw up 11% in values. For instance, from the peak 2 years ago, in the second quarter of 2022, Choctaw sat at an average sales price of about $312,000. Now it's at $347,000. Blanchard went from $312,000 up almost 13% in value over the last 20 months to an average sales price of $358,000.
Wow, that's significant. What about things that have gone down?
It's kind of interesting here, Cindy. You know, I grew up in Norman, and the average sales price in Norman has actually dropped 8.2% since the second quarter of 2022.
Why do you think that is?
Some of it will be condominium purchases, although the condominium purchases have always been there. So condos sell for less, and Norman has a lot of condominiums because it's a university community.
Sure, okay.
So that's dropped all the way down to about a $275,000 average sales price over the last 90 days. Here's the kicker, and I didn't share this with Cindy before the show. Cindy, can you believe Norman's average sales price right now at $274,000, with Moore at $277,000, Mustang at $305,000, Guthrie at $309,000, Choctaw at $347,000.
That's surprising, because Norman normally is a higher price range area.
How about Blanchard, an average sales price right now of $358,000, and Norman at $274,000?
Wow.
Now, I don't think anything's bad is going on in Norman. Okay. Maybe there were more homes for sale, and that's probably part of it. More closings in Norman. It is a university town. There are people moving in and out probably a little more often in Norman every 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
They buy, the kids live there, and then the parents turn around and sell the property.
But if you want to live outside of town a little bit, like Blanchard, which is just a little southwest of Norman, should I feel confident in buying those homes because they will continue to increase in equity?
You know, one thing you have to think about is when you're buying a home, it's to live in. It's probably not to just buy it and flip it. So you want to get in areas that are good areas that are going to meet your needs, your family's needs, location, proximity to employment, shopping. So I think if those things meet your needs, honestly, all these areas are good areas.
And I'm going to go a different route on your question there. When you think about it, the outlying areas in a lot of cases offer more land.
Yes.
And the land is going to cost you more money if you're on an acreage. So Choctaw, Piedmont, Blanchard, Tuttle, Newcastle, Guthrie, those are areas that probably have more acreage properties available for sale that are typically just going to sell for more money.
Okay.
That's probably one of the biggest variations here in the numbers that I see, is that maybe Norman's average sales price is a little lower, but the majority of the homes that sell in Norman aren't going to be on acreages.
But I would say Norman is a good area to buy. I wouldn't be worried about that.
Oh, absolutely. And again, looks like it's probably down artificially just because of interest rates.
Okay.
I think that's going to come storming back. The areas that, Newcastle's down a bit, about 8.5%. Shawnee is down about 6.5%. And then the areas that are about the same, Yukon, Oklahoma City's hard to define, Dave. Oklahoma City's so big.
Yes.
And you got amazing areas, you got some that aren't as good. Mm-hmm. It's hard to just go in and throw a number at Oklahoma City. But if you just look at the city of Oklahoma City, in general, the sales prices are about where they were at the peak from April, again, second quarter of 2022. Edmonds, average sales price, very level right now, about $414,000 now to buy the average home in Edmond.
Wow.
And then Piedmont and Tuttle, also about the same as where they were about 2 years ago. It's been an interesting market. It's something that Cindy and I have not seen in our career in a long time, with such big swings in interest rates.
That was the key, is that just huge swings in interest rates.
We're going to talk about that a little bit when we close our show today, Dave.
And we'll do that coming up in 2 minutes right here. Stick around.
Hey, home buyers, let's talk turkey for a minute. Would you choose a healthy economy or lower interest rates?
As of January 5th, the U.S. jobs report says we're in a healthy economy with a larger increase in jobs in the U.S. That leads us to believe the Fed will wait even longer until it begins to reduce its rate. Meantime, the demand for homes always picks up in the spring, with many buyers chasing the same home, and that means more competition for you. With home prices on the rise, doesn't it make sense to get in the market now? A $300,000 home that increases just 2% over the next year will increase $6,000 in value. I'm Wally Kerr, and my team and I offer rock-solid advice about buying a home in a market like this one, where home prices are going up and fewer homes are for sale. Call Kerr Team today at 330-3000 and tell us you're ready to get started with the process. I promise you'll have a great experience working with my team. Call us today at 330-3000.
Best Protect Roofing and Construction has been serving the Oklahoma community since 2017 with trusted professionals and a proven track record. Best Protect Roofing and Construction has the local knowledge to ensure every roofing project is compliant and hassle-free. They offer free roof inspections to assess damage, provide accurate quotes, and recommend the best solution for your home. Call today, 405-473-9599. Best Protect Roofing and Construction.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful, from knowing which program fits your situation the best to identifying the best terms. Hi, I'm Chris Doke with Gateway Mortgage. I work closely with you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to helping you choose the home loan that's right for you. My promise is to provide transparency, timely communication, personal service, and closings on time. Call me today at 405-253-2276. That's 405-253-2276.
NMLS 984758. Gateway Mortgage, a division of Gateway First Bank. NMLS 7233, Equal Housing Lender.
If you or a family member will be selling or buying a home and would like to schedule an appointment with Wally, call 405-330-3000 or go to wallysguarantee.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr.
Well, Wally, real quick, during the break, we tried to catch up with Chris Doke. Not going to make it today. We were going to have him on at the end of the show. We'll try to catch up with him hopefully next week.
Get him on next week and talk a little bit more about what mortgage rates are doing.
Okay, so we've talked about the Feds have been doing some stuff that it's been kind of smooth sailing and then a little bit wonky a week or two here and there. I heard some rumblings earlier this week, something about inflation coming in a little hotter than was expected.
Talked about last week, just real quickly, that in January there were 353,000 jobs that were created, and that was way beyond expectations.
Yes.
Now, this past week, back on Monday or Tuesday, the Consumer Price Index data came in at 0.3%, and it was expected to be 0.2%. Now, that doesn't sound like a big difference, does it?
Annually, when you look at it annually, it is.
That's the issue. So 0.2 times 12 months in a year would be about a 2.4% inflation rate. When you go to 0.3 and multiply that times 12, that's like a 3.6% annual inflation rate based on what happened this last month.
And that's not what the Fed wants.
Ooh, and Wall Street didn't like it. They said, wow, the inflation data's up. So if inflation's in place and people are getting jobs, there's no way the Fed is going to go in and drop rates. And that's now what the expectation is, Dave. I saw several articles this week that said not only is the possibility of a rate decrease by the Fed in March been squelched, but now there were those who thought maybe there would be one at least by May. And now they're saying, gosh, with this great data in, it's a hot economy. David's just really resilient.
Yes.
We just continue with the Fed trying to slow things down. The economy is pushing back and it's creating jobs. Prices are going up again. This is not what the Fed wants to see. They're more likely now, as opposed to decreasing their rate. If this continues, what could happen, Cindy?
They could do a rate increase. And I'm hearing from even people in our office, just the price is going up, whether it's restaurants, at the grocery store, rent.
Gasoline was back up this week. I saw the gas 30 cents more than what I was paying 2 or 3 weeks ago.
So buyers might be expected to pay a little bit more for homes. There's going to be a lot more competition.
Right.
So you got more people looking, prices going up, interest rates going up.
Well, here's what's interesting. Buyers were telling us they wanted to wait until rates came down.
And now it's looking like they're not going to. As a matter of fact, it may be the other way. So it really is the time now if you need to buy.
I see no possible, unless the data really changes, and again, I'm not an economist, this is just an opinion, I don't see any rate decreases in rates over the next 6 months Well, let's say until at least June, because it doesn't sound like, again, in March or May, there will be a decrease. So it's going to depend on what the data looks like. But if you're waiting for interest rates to come down and you want to buy a home, you may be waiting too long, and you might find that they may go up instead.
And then you're going to be in that competitive position with a lot of other buyers where now you might, as we talked about, negotiating and getting more for your money, you might be able to negotiate well now.
You also need someone to help you negotiate. You don't want to do this on your own. You want a trusted partner. So obviously, Kerr Team Real Estate.
This is uncharted territory for us as to what's happened with rates and everything over the last few years. Gosh, I can only imagine, all the people that I know that are not in real estate who are just going, this just doesn't make any sense. What do I do? Should I buy? Should I rent? Is this a good time? Wally, Cindy, do you still think home values are going to go up this year? I'm okay paying a little more for my mortgage as long as we can see that values are going to go up. And everything I'm reading, inventory is so limited that people are still going to buy. They've gotten more used to rates being where they are now. Cindy, these are the rates that you and I have been seeing for most of our career anyway.
That's right.
6.5% to 7% for most of our career.
And it's going to take a while for new construction to catch up. Right now, it is a limited supply, and people are always going to need to buy. Life happens, as I've said, and so it's a great investment. We've owned homes many, many, many years and been in this business, and it's always been a great investment.
Dave, I wouldn't be able to tell you with certainty today if you said, Wally, do you think the Fed will make a decrease in its rate in 2024? And I can't give you that certainty now.
Yeah.
Because it's all dependent on the data. I don't even think the crystal ball can do a good job there with the data that's going on or that we're getting and with what the economy's doing. If you want to get into home ownership, do it right. Make the right decisions, make a purchase based on good data. But it looks to me like home prices are going to increase and continue to increase this year because of limited inventory and so many sellers that don't want to sell because they're married to a lower mortgage rate.
We talk about sometimes the best way to buy and sell if you are in your 60s and 70s and thinking about downsizing. We also talk about helping out first-time home buyers, whether you're helping out your kids. But you and us three here try to help out first-time home buyers and giving them advice. And one of those is don't look back to 3 to 4 years ago as something that could happen again, because it was completely artificial, and that's why everything just dropped. The bottom dropped out of it.
It scared us all to death, didn't it?
Well, COVID was here, and who would have thought we would be in a pandemic?
In the threes, and people that right now are in their late 20s, early 30s, they're thinking, well, I might wait for it to come back down again to 3 or 4 or something like that. Well, that's not normal. Like you guys said, in 37 years, I'm sure you've never had a drastic change in the market like you've seen like that, especially here in Oklahoma, where it's a little bit more stable. So you obviously want to find your price point. And for everyone, there is that price point out there, and there is that home available. It's just a matter of timing. And if the timing comes along, and you're able to do it, you need to do it because you may be waiting a long time after that.
It's important to remember that the only reason rates were 3 and 4% was because the Fed was trying to spur and stimulate spending.
Mm-hmm.
Spending
and they did it.
Yeah, they did, and boy, is it stimulated.
Yes.
I mean, even though they've raised the rates, again, this is a very resilient economy. Lots of jobs, and people are still spending, and prices are going up. Don't bank on the rates going down anytime soon, and they could go up instead.
If you caught us late today, you can catch the replay tomorrow, Sunday at noon. You can also listen on the podcast. Wednesday is when the show gets posted. You can go to wallytalkshouses.com and find all of our past shows. And what's great is you don't have to go find these hour-long shows. You can find all the different segments, the specific segments that you want to learn about and you want to listen to, so you can do that. And of course, one of the easiest things to do, 330-3000, because you guys are the experts, and we tell people all the time, we do this so they can learn. So if you do have a real estate expert that you rely on, ask them these questions. If you want a second opinion or you haven't spoken to a real estate expert, call you guys. Don't even have to talk. Like I said, just text 330-3000.
We're
so
here.
simple.
We're here to help.
Cindy's laughing because I know how easy it is to talk to you, Wally.
We're ready to help in any way we can, Dave.
Another quality show. I learned a lot. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you next Saturday.
Look forward to it, Dave.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with Wally Kerr. Heard every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. and replayed on Sundays at noon here on 1520 a.m. and 95.3 FM KOKC. Wally's name is his promise. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. To speak with Wally directly about selling your home or buying, call or text him to schedule an appointment at 405-330-3000. 405-330-3000. Or go to wallysguarantee.com. That's wallysguarantee.com.